Hello, good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday, last day of the month, June 30. It's hard to believe how fast this year has gone. It is really wild to me how quickly this year has gone by. And before you know it, we're going to hopefully have an election, which is one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Is Biden going to drop out? Don't know. We'll see. It is enjoyable to watch the left-wing media meltdown, fight among themselves, and just make complete asses out of themselves on top of it all. So I'm going to play a lot of clips, Morning Joe and Joy Behar and Van Jones, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think that he's going to drop out. I think he's going to stay in. I think as long as he's breathing, they're going to keep him up there because obviously he's not the one that's running things. So if they could just keep him barely talking and barely coherent, they'll get past this whole debate thing. They don't even need to really spin it. They'll just continue pumping him full of drugs and putting him out there here every once in a while. And somehow they'll figure it out. Somehow they'll make this work. This is just my opinion. Let me know what you think. But I think they're going to keep him going indefinitely. The only way that they're going to switch him out is if he either passes or he's just is no longer able to speak. But things are accelerating. You could see when they start playing video of him talking 6 months, a year ago, even 2 years ago. You just see the decline in him, and it's becoming more and more rapid. And I think that it's going to continue to accelerate. But what's crazy is is it going to accelerate within the next few months? Is it going to get much worse before the election? Who knows? We'll have to see. If we do have time tonight, I want to talk about Bill Gates too. This is something my wife brought up to me today. Shout out to her. Bill Gates. It's bad enough that Bill Gates is trying to make us eat bugs, and he's involved in all of this crazy stuff, buying up farmland, getting involved in vaccines and everything else. But now there's a story, and this is a legitimate story, that Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, have given funding to a company that is creating maggot milk to feed people in underdeveloped countries. And I will get into that briefly, but yes, this is how bad things have gotten, and this is how dystopic that we've gotten in this world today, is that we have somebody like Bill Gates that's going to end up forcing insect milk and maggot milk down our throats. That's what they're trying to do. As usual, you can super chat me by going to superchatme.com. And I will be, anyone that does do a donation above $20, I will send out a free bottle of vitamin D. And let me show that here. This vitamin D is our own brand. It helps us, you could support the channel by donating to us. And obviously vitamin D3 is extremely important. Definitely need to have that. Study after study telling us how important D3 is. And so anything over $20, I will send you a free bottle of that. So let's go ahead and get into the nightmare we call the Biden situation. And this was funny because now the Morning Joe is collapsing upon itself. Even Mirka and Joe are arguing with themselves, or amongst themselves, about whether or not the Democratic Party is actually panicking or not. I would say that they are. But like I said before, they are going to keep Biden in as long as they possibly can. And before I get into all of these videos, also let me also mention Steven Crowder. I don't know if some of you listen to him or watch him or follow him. He just came out with a new podcast series called 3 and 3, and it's 3 key facts within 3 minutes. And he's promoting it out on X, and gave me a shout out after I had said that I had listened to at least one episode. Now I'm planning on listening to the rest of the episodes on my commute to work. And the first one I listened to was on immigration. It was really good. I mean, and it's what's nice about it is that it gives you important information in a very short period of time. So you're not having to sit and watch, an hour or 2 hour podcast, which you could do obviously, but if you happen to be kind of sitting around and not, in a waiting room or something like that, you're not totally sure whether or not you're going to get interrupted. It's a really neat kind of format to consume really important key factors. And also I think it's good, at least from the immigration episode, that, here are things, if you happen to get into an argument with someone, you can take these key points of information and make an argument with it. So definitely check it out. It's called 3 and 3 key facts in 3 key facts in 3 minutes, and you can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Okay, so getting back to what is going on with Joe Biden here is, now, how many times did we hear the 25th Amendment that was going to be used against Donald Trump because apparently he was crazy, he was psycho, and they wanted so desperately to remove him from office? And we're really not hearing about the 25th Amendment at all with Joe Biden. And if anyone qualifies for that, for removal for the 25th Amendment, it's definitely Joe Biden. But you could see how disingenuous the communist Democrats are. And that's what makes this so much more fun to watch, and watch these idiots just start to melt down.
Okay, hold on a second. That I agree with everything you said, except for the last part of it. Everybody calm down, and I'll tell you why. I mean, it's fine to not spin what happened last night, and we're not going to. Again,
by the way,
he had a terrible night.
Mika, everybody's calm here.
No,
you're the only one raising your voice. Everybody is calm here.
But again, it's the... let's just immediately pull this. Let's end this. Let's find someone else.
That's not what Mike said.
That attitude toward this is what I am saying slow down on. Because, again, there's no spinning it. But let's be balanced. Let's, for once, show some balance in a media world that is so shrill with imbalance that we've become inured to the difference between these two candidates. So let's put it this way. Gene Robinson, I'll go to you.
Well, wait. I just have to stop you. First of all, we always show balance.
We are, yeah.
Okay.
Secondly, nobody's panicking. I said these were questions that Democrats and Joe Biden needed to ask themselves. And Mike said he missed one pitch down the middle after another and wasn't up to it last night.
Right, okay. He said wasn't up to it last night.
He said last night. So I will say that it's not panic. I mean, it's not being panicked, to understand what's at stake and understand the window is closing very quickly. And if last night did not reveal that to you and other Democrats, then it needs to be revealed pretty soon.
I mean, how far, I mean, we all know, most of you that are watching this and follow other right-wing, non-communist podcasts, we all know, what the media is all about, and they cover for the communist left. And we understand how corrupt they are. And as we go through more of these videos, you'll see it. But I don't understand. It's really, I really struggle with why they try so hard to keep the lie going. And I wonder how it is that they sleep at night knowing that they are lying to their audience. What's even more concerning, and I'll get into this in a couple more videos, is the people that fall for this stuff and vote for Biden. That's what's really scary to me, is how many of these people that buy into this and then continue to vote Democratic, knowing, and don't get me wrong, the right is just as bad. I mean, it's all one uniparty. But in this particular case, it's like, okay, you have two choices. You're being lied to on one side of the aisle way more than you are on the other. But you'll go down in a blaze of glory to not vote for Donald Trump. Even though these people like Morning Joe and everybody else has been lying straight to your face. Now here's Biden on the 28th. And I know that he was supposed to be in Camp David, I guess today is what reports were saying, and there are conflicting reports. Like Post Millennial was saying that they're going to make a decision on what he's going to do, if he's going to stay in or pull out. This particular video, obviously this is before the weekend, but he's saying he's staying in.
Let me close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong.
Yeah.
And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up. I know what it took to take our economy from the depths of the pandemic to where it is today, the strongest economy in the world. I know what it'll take to bring this economy to everybody. I know what it'll take to rally the world, to stand up against Putin and defend freedom, not yield to him. And I know what it'll take to keep the world safe and free for the years ahead. Folks, I give you my word as a Biden, I would not be running again if I didn't believe with all my heart and soul I can do this job. Because quite frankly, the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high.
So I don't know if those people in the background are paid to be there. But again, like I said before, they are going to keep him in. I am going to be absolutely shocked if the Democrats pull him from the race at this point, because it's just simply not bad enough. And you're already starting to see in a lot of these talking heads on the left are saying it was just a bad night. He had a cold. They're making excuses for him. And here's Barack Obama. Bad debate nights happen. Trust me, I know. But this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary folks his entire life and someone who only cares about himself. Okay. Joe Biden doesn't care about only himself. It's Donald Trump, right? Between someone who tells the truth, who knows what's right and wrong, okay. So, and they were saying the entire time that Trump lied during the entire debate. That, all the spin is still happening, but because Biden is still coherent, and even after the debate, Joy Behar, I'm not sure if I have the video in here or not, was saying, well, he was a completely different person after the debate, and technically she was right. So I don't know really what happened to him, other than it's old age and he's going to be good at some points and bad in others. I don't think he's going to do another debate again. I think that would be a huge mistake. But again, they're going to keep him in because he is a figurehead only. And and these guys aren't that bright, they're ruthless. And I think they get a lot more credit than they deserve for being smart. So they're going to, like I said, they're going to squeeze as much as they can out of this guy. And they will wait to the very last moment before they switch him out. And so at this point, the way I see him now, there's no way they're switching him out. They're probably going to have some people in the, waiting in the wings if, ultimately the inevitable happens. So they probably were discussing that, but I just don't see in the next week or two or whatever that they're going to switch somebody out right now. I just don't think they're going to do it. And here's the post-millennial saying the White House denies rumors that Biden is heading to Camp David to discuss dropping out of the race with his family. Because Jill Biden, she's going to keep him in there as long as she possibly can because she's loving the power. And there's just more that you see where the Biden family is encouraging him to stay in the race. So again, that's my opinion. That's going to be my call for it. We'll see what happens next week. But I don't think he's going anywhere. But it did make for some really good advertisements. And here's one in particular that's been pretty viral and it's been going around the internet quite a bit.
Both fellows, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're going to, I've been proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare.
I'm going to discuss the golf thing in a minute about the handicaps, but I want to continue to play the video.
For the ability for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America, billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
Trump didn't have to say a word during that ad. And it was just all of the highlights or lowlights, whatever you want to call them, of Biden's disaster and that whole thing. But again, I go back to what I said before. Where's the 25th Amendment being brought up here? In this particular case, if this was Trump, it would be nonstop. They would not stop talking about it. And this is what I think a lot of people forget. And having a short-term memory and not remembering these things is really a detriment. And I know we go about our daily lives and we have things that we have to do and there are things we have to pay more attention to, and there are priorities that we have. However, when we forget about the things that the Democrats have, and I'm guilty of it as well, but I try to keep as much of the information as I can. And that's part of the reason why I do this, is it does help me get the word out to people that I know and my small little podcast and little group of people that watch me, but to really pay attention to politics and what's going on, because just remember what they were doing to Trump during his, not only while he was running for president with the Steele dossier and all the lies and everything that the DNC did to Trump, but then during his presidency, how much they tried to, keep him down, tie him down with investigations, impeachments, saying that he was crazy, that the walls were closing in. How many times did we hear the walls were closing in? How many times did we hear about the 25th Amendment? How many times did we hear that he was racist because he called the coronavirus a Chinese virus or it came from China? I mean, it's just nonstop attacks. And everything about all of the stuff turned out to be a lie. And just like all of these lawfare attacks and all of these trials, they're all going to turn out to be lies as well. And then they tell you after the debate, Jill Biden starts yelling, and I think I have that video in here, says that Donald Trump lied the entire time. That's all they had in defense of this joke of a debate by Biden. And here's more lies. A perfect example of how Biden voters and people on the left that watch NBC, ABC, CBS, CNBC, CNN, MSNBC, and all of these networks, how they're just being lied to, straight-faced.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a very sharp president.
This is a man that's on his game.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
There's not a problem.
He's sharp. He's fit. He's always answering questions.
He is on the ball. He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
He's completely mentally sharp.
He's at the top of his game.
And you see they get their marching orders and they get their talking points fed to them. They're being told what to say. And how is that good for America when you have no one that thinks independently? And the same thing with the media. They get their talking points, they get their marching orders, and they all repeat the same thing. If you pay attention to this stuff and you watch this stuff enough, you see the patterns develop. And it's always they don't really change up what they're saying. I mean, this is again an example of, okay, when you're being interviewed, this is the talking point. And none of them vary that talking point at all. They say the same thing again and again. Media, same way. There was a video of local stations where they gave a script about misinformation and disinformation, and there were hundreds of these channels across the country. And they literally played them all in unison because they were all saying the same thing, because they got a script to read. And that's what this is. And what's frustrating to me is that these news networks, the media, the politicians, and everybody have lied to Biden supporters about everything forever. And they continue to do it now. And now it's really blatantly obvious now that they have been lied to, and that they're starting to see that the emperor has no clothes. But, and I would like to think, and maybe I'm wrong, that the Biden voters have figured out they're being lied to, and that they're being duped and being used. But for those who have figured it out, why is it that you still think that Trump's the bad guy? Because it's these people that are lying to you that have been telling you the entire time that Trump's the bad guy. And if you haven't figured that out, then it's the battered wife syndrome. You're going back to, the same person that has abused you and lied to you and told you that Trump is the bad person. You figured out that they've been lying to you this entire time, but you still go back and you still believe him that Trump's the bad guy. I'm not saying Trump's perfect. I'd much rather have somebody different. But given the two choices, there really isn't. I mean, this is a logical decision. This isn't something that that is hard to decide. But I'm not. I don't know. I'm sort of discouraged because you do see this deterioration in Biden. You see how you can look behind the curtain, and now this entire administration is just flat out lying straight to your face, and they just don't care. And I think they truly believe that it really doesn't matter because they have brainwashed a significant amount of people in America that no matter what they do, they're still going to have it in the bag somehow. They could spit in your face, lie to you, lie, cheat, and steal, and you're still going to come back and vote for them because you still hate Donald Trump. And the same ones that made up all the lies about Biden and everything else are still the same ones lying about Trump, and you're still buying into their lies. And you're still going to not vote for Trump, think that he's the enemy, and still vote for Biden, whoever it is on the Democratic side, and turn our country into a communist country. Here's Joy Behar. Listen to this dumb bitch.
There was something about the debate that threw him into this state that he was in, because watch this. While Donald Trump was probably enjoying a celebratory platter of cheeseburgers, President Biden made an appearance at a watch party a little while after the debate, and he scarcely resembled the guy from earlier in the evening. This is really unbelievable. Watch.
Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact-checking all the things he said. I can't think of one thing he said that was true. No, I'm not being facetious. But look, we're going to beat this guy. We need to beat this guy. And I need you in order to beat him. You're the people I'm running for.
So suddenly, no colds. Suddenly he was 63. You know, what happened?
So Joy Behar, and you could tell that she was fed that script as well. She's not smart enough to come up with that shit on her own. Joy Behar and the entire TV show, The View, is a psyop. It is a brainwashing apparatus to convince housewives to vote communist. I mean, anyone with a half a brain, just even the slightest little bit of common sense, can watch somebody like Joy Behar and who's that, Holly Siston or whatever the hell, who thinks that solar eclipses are caused by climate change. I mean, these are some, you put their IQs together and you don't equal 50. But Joy Behar sits there and says, oh, he was a completely different person, you know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, technically in that case, yeah, there was a difference between the two. But then she goes and says that, you know, Trump lied the entire time. This was the talking point that they were all given. Go out there and say that Trump lied the entire time. And I want to go back to the golf thing. You want to talk about a liar. One of the things that's really, really telling of someone is sports. If you go out and play, and I was a tennis player, college tennis player, and played golf, a lot of golf. But if you go out, let's just say you go out with someone and you play golf with them, and I've mentioned this before. You spend a lot of time, you're spending, in some cases, anywhere between 3 to 5 hours with someone. And when you're, especially if you're like in the same golf cart, maybe on the same team or whatever it is that you're doing, you get to really know someone if it's your first time meeting them. Because not only is it a long period of time you're with that person, but then you get to see their character. You get to find out what their personality is, what they think about certain things. But more importantly, the character. Joe Biden, during the debate, said that he got his swing down to a 6 handicap. And you notice that Trump laughed when he said that. And Trump also said something to the effect that, I saw your swing, and there's no way that you could possibly have that handicap. And I looked at Joe Biden's swing as well, and there's no fucking way that he could have a handicap of 6. And how I know that is, when you're playing a sport for an extended period of time, the thing that you notice, especially in tennis and golf, is mechanics of somebody's swing. And you could tell if someone says, I've been playing for a long time and I'm at this particular level. By watching them actually play, you can determine, if you've been playing for a long time yourself, you can determine whether or not that person's telling the truth. And if you watch Joe Biden, and if you're a golfer, a tennis player, an athlete in any capacity, and you watch Joe Biden swing a golf club, he sucks. And it's not a surprise to hear someone like him say that, because he's not an athlete. He's a scumbag kind of a guy, and he lies about everything. Talks about how he was a truck driver, he was this, he was that. I mean, he's constantly being told by his own staff that you need to stop talking about these things because none of the stuff that you say is true. So when you hear him say what he said, that immediately I'm like, okay, that just sums it all up for me very easily for a guy like me. And obviously Trump as well. I heard Alex Jones say the other day that, oh yeah, Trump could have turned pro. I looked at Donald Trump's swing. Donald Trump is a good golfer, but I don't think he could have turned pro. I think he probably could have been a very low handicap, like a 6 handicap. I'd give him that. So I would say that Trump it's more realistic that Donald Trump would be a 6 handicap than Biden. I'd be surprised if Biden can even be a 16. But that's what I mean by somebody who is a genuine person or not. That's like an everyday sort of way to measure someone's character. And it again was not a surprise to hear Joe Biden say that, because he is not a man of character. And to give you another example, when it comes to tennis, I have played my entire life and I'm at a certain level, but there's certain people too that will respect that level, understand that level if they are involved in that sport. And Joe Biden should know better too, because he does play golf, but he should know where he stands on the level of the type of golfer that he is. But I'd have some people like, oh, I hear you're a tennis player. I play tennis too. We should play sometime. It's like, no, yeah, well, how long have you been playing? I'll ask him that. Like, oh, well, I just started last year. I've been playing for a couple of years. It's like, yeah, but I've been playing my whole life. Do you think I want to go out and play with someone who just started playing tennis maybe a year or two? See, that's somebody not being able to read the room. That's somebody not being able to understand, I'm not going to go out and say to Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson and say, hey, I play golf too. You want to go out and play sometime? And I'm not comparing myself to an athlete like that, but again, sports is one of those things that is super helpful in measuring someone's character. And I'll leave it at that. But here's Nicole Wallace, who again went on this, and she wasn't the only one that said this, kind of went on this talking point thing about how the videos of Biden wandering off and completely losing, reality and just kind of randomly walking in circles. This was all a right-wing media made up. These are all fake. These are like AI fake videos.
There's a growing and insidious trend in right-wing media, broadcast, print, and social media. It is to take highly misleading and selectively edited videos of President Biden directly from Republican National Committee social media accounts and then use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office. Here is this headline from the New York Post, quote, Biden appears to freeze up, has to be led off stage by Obama at Megabucks LA fundraiser. The full video posted by Biden finance chair on Twitter shows something entirely different. Biden reacting to applause and then walking off stage with former President Obama. It comes less than 1 week after the New York...
Now, she didn't show the most important part of that video, which was Obama grabbing Biden by the wrist to pull him off stage. So that in and of itself of what Nicole Wallace is saying is a lie. And again, people who watch MSNBC and CNN just sit there and put it on in their living rooms, pay $200 a month for cable to get lied to.
Post made a cover out of another piece of deceptively edited tape, calling him meanderer-in-chief due to what they claim was Biden walking away during a skydiving demonstration during the G7 summit last week. The only problem is that the full video, which emerged almost instantly, shows Biden was going over to congratulate one of the skydivers who's cropped out of the video entirely.
No, he wasn't. He was just kind of wandering off looking like he found a shiny penny somewhere. So he's walking off while everybody, if that was the case, why didn't everybody else kind of follow along with him and walk over to the other skydivers? And why did this woman over here have to grab him and get his attention to come back? Nicole, you are an idiot. At least, see, this is insulting the intelligence of the viewers. This is just basically saying, hey, dumbasses that watch CNBC or MSNBC and CNN, don't believe what you actually see. This is all fake. This is all deceptively edited. And you could just look at it yourself and see, no, this is exactly what's going on. This is what's happening.
Both the articles are based on cheap fakes, videos of real events that are intentionally manipulated to fool viewers, released on an RNC opposition research social media account with zero independent fact-checking by these so-called journalists and spread throughout the right-wing ecosystem. And we would take the hand-wringing by right-wing media about Biden's mental fitness in videos intentionally manipulated to make him look unfit, maybe a little more seriously if they weren't radio silent about the repeated, glaring, and real mental lapses happening behind podiums and on camera on the part of Donald Trump.
So do you see that? Now, everything that's going on with Biden is a lie. But then when Trump screws up a thing here or there, which is rare, which is going to happen. It's going to happen to anyone and everyone unless he's sitting there and reading from a script, which he doesn't do. And you could see, too, Nicole Wallace isn't the only, Harry Sisson, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, JoJo from Jurors, all these scumbags. Every little mistake that Trump makes, that anyone could make, including them, they call it out. But then when Biden continues to just wander off because he's losing his mental capacity, his faculties are going. I mean, even like when I watch these analytics on YouTube. I mean, YouTube and Google Alphabet is doing everything they possibly can to keep this information from going out. I mean, this is, when I compare this platform to the other platforms that I'm streaming on, it's like, it's blatantly obvious. You talk negatively at all about Biden, you are shut down. And then they tell you that the right wing is using cheap fakes. These aren't, and the thing is that even that comment and that term is even disingenuous, is a lie. It's not a cheap fake. It is a video of what is actually happening. It's not AI generated, none of that. It's real. And it's so maddening and disgusting to watch somebody like Nicole Wallace. She's such a piece of shit. And that lowlife goes to bed at night and falls asleep making, not a problem. I don't, whatever they pay me, I'm going to take that money, even though I'm lying to people. I mean, it is so sleazy. It's indescribable. And this meme I grabbed because I thought it really was brilliant, because Biden doesn't need a cognitive test as voters do. Because once again, after you watch Nicole Wallace just lie straight to your face, you're gonna vote again. I mean, the fact that you voted for him in the first place, you should be shamed for. You should be so embarrassed. You should be apologizing to everyone you know. Here's at least Van Jones, this scumbag. Listen to what he has to say. At least he admits it.
I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain for what we saw tonight.
And I love how he loves that man. But you can't love Donald Trump. And if it was Donald Trump that was losing his mind, you would absolutely jump all over it and attack him mercilessly. And yeah, I mean, again, here's a guy who he can't hide the reality of what's going on. I mean, it's right there in front of everybody. And here's Jill Biden, what I was mentioning before. Here's another talking point about how she was trying to spin what was going on, and of course it says that Donald Trump is lying.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie!
What did Trump do? Lie. I mean, what else do they have? But again, anybody that has any reasonable intelligence that looks at this, can you not figure out that when she says, what did Trump do? Lie, that it's really it's the opposite. It's the complete opposite. There's one last video that I'm going to play where Nicole Wallace, of course, was trying to say that the GOP was deceptively editing videos, but here, this is a pretty good one that shows that that's not true. Here he is wandering off while everybody else is in a different direction. And look what this woman is doing here. She notices and she's like, I need to bring him back. Look over here. Nicole Wallace was also saying was deceptively. Here's Obama grabbing Biden to pull him off stage. She didn't show that part. So she just lied about 2 videos. Biden did freeze on stage, and he had to be let off by Obama.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about
this one's
to tell
really
you the
good.
truth.
And F you if you can't handle the truth.
F you.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak.
And there is a conversation happening inside Biden's circle, and certainly a much more frank conversation happening inside the Democratic coalition. And I think there will be stories of a lot of concern about the performance tonight. And I think when you say conversations happening, what do you mean? I think people are talking. I think the conversations range from whether he should be in this race tomorrow morning to what was wrong with him. I mean, he has a cold.
He has a cold. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all, and he looked. I'll give you the analysis. You kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can, but he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now.
Minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists, it involves elected officials, it involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket, and they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that call because they feel this debate was so terrible.
So there you go. Those all of those videos were not deceptively edited at all. You could tell by the debate, the reality has hit everyone, and it's had to get this bad for these people at CNN and MSNBC and all the other networks to admit this. And I know some people are saying, well, they did all this on purpose because they want to pull them and put somebody else in. No, they didn't. They can't think like that. That's too, they strategize, but these guys aren't that, they're not thinking that far ahead. I could be proven wrong, but I don't, so far, he's not going to come out of the race. I really do not believe that they're going to pull him from the race. As long as he is, if believe me, it has to get way, way worse for them to even consider it. I'm sure they sort of consider it, but are like, nah, you know what? We can still pump him full of drugs and we can keep him going because it's not him that's running things. And it's just too complicated at this point to bring somebody else in. So they are going to, like I said before, squeeze as much as they can out of this guy, and keep him in as long as they possibly can. I just do not see them switching him out.
It is yet another extraordinary moment in the 2024 election cycle, with Democrats in a state of crisis after President Joe Biden delivered a disastrous debate performance that fueled voters' top concerns about his age and ability to serve another 4 years in office. Not since the first Nixon-Kennedy debate in 1960 has a debate had as much potential to shake up a presidential race. This morning, there is widespread panic within the Democratic Party and questions about whether the president should drop out of the race.
I think it was a
disaster. I think it was like maybe the worst debate I've ever seen in my entire life.
I do think people feel like that we are confronting a crisis.
There were going to be discussion about whether he should continue.
At first it was shocking, then it was scary, then it was sad, and by the end it was absurd. Is the riskiest path sticking with Joe Biden, or is the riskiest path saying we want someone else? And anybody who says that that is not a tough call right now is full of
On Friday.
See how crazy those people are? These are the same maniacs, I'm telling you, that they've been brainwashed to believe that Donald Trump is this horrible person. And by the way, you all said that he was going to be a dictator the first time. He was never going to leave office, any of this stuff. Okay, and you could say whatever you want about January 6th and that he told those people to do what they did on January 6th. That's another lie. He told everybody to be peaceful. There's nothing that the left has said that has been true at all. But you see this visceral reaction of these, I don't know what you want to call them, these sissy boys, because of their brainwashing by media like this Welker and NBC, all these alphabet networks that have convinced them that Donald Trump is a maniac killer. And you can see with some of these people the panic that they have. And it's embarrassing to watch. It's pathetic. And they're such weak men. They're so weak and pathetic when you listen to them talk and how they act.
In a stunning move, the New York Times editorial board called on President Biden to serve his country and drop out of the presidential race. NBC News has learned that President Biden is expected to address his campaign with his family at Camp David. That's according to 5 people familiar with the matter. Now, he and First Lady Jill Biden arrived there late last night to join their children and grandchildren in a trip planned before Thursday's debate. The campaign was always going to be a topic of conversation, but now undoubtedly Thursday's debate will be front and center. Senior advisor Anita Dunn addressed the matter on Saturday.
You all did not have any kind of conversations about, should Joe Biden drop out of this race?
The conversation that we had is, okay, what do we do next? Mm-hmm. Okay, that is, if there's one thing.
This one is getting thrown under the bus, by the way, too. They're blaming her for Biden's performance.
That we're about, it's, okay, Barack Obama said bad debates happen. We had a bad debate. What do we do next? And, the president, above all, is focused on what do we do next? What do I need to go do?
President Biden, who agreed to the earliest general election debate in modern political history, had one goal: to persuade voters who are skeptical about his age and fitness for office that he is up to serve another 4 years. Mr. Biden has consistently told voters, watch me.
If I were to run, I think they're going to judge me on my vitality. Can I still run up the steps of Air Force Two? Am I still in good shape? Do I have all my faculties? Am I energetic? I think it's totally legitimate for people to ask those questions. This is for the voters to decide. Take a look. Look at me, see if I have the energy, see if I know what I'm talking about, and make their judgment. I think it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about anyone's age, including mine. I think it's totally legitimate. But I think the best way to make the judgment is to watch me.
Well, on Thursday night, voters watched the president deliver a halting performance, at times appearing confused and repeatedly losing his train of thought.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look,
I can't. I mean, and you could see some of those interviews that he had given. I mean, a couple of years ago, you could just see the difference on how he answers questions and how he handles himself compared to now. But until he's an absolute vegetable, they're going to keep him in. That's what I think. And those of you that are watching, let me know what you think. I'm going to skip the maggot milk thing, by the way, because we're going on an hour. I'll do that probably tomorrow. But here's something that's really crazy. Watch this video here and let me know what you think about this.
President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states. And under the issue of immigration and border security, President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the...
In case temporarily allowed.
So it's showing one of the moderators pointing to Jake Tapper. I forget her name now. And what it seemed to be is that it might have been Biden looking at her and she's pointing to Jake Tapper like he's the one that's asking the questions. This is I just happened to come across this today, and I don't know. I'm assuming it's real. Look real to me, but I thought it was kind of funny, and it's not really all that surprising because if you looked at the facial expressions of Biden during that entire debate, it was just, I don't think he really knew where he was. I think he was just overwhelmed, and they might have drugged him up too much. I mean, it's who knows what happened. But I thought it was funny with, I think Dana Bash, I think is what her name is. Whose husband, by the way, was one of the people who signed the letter saying that Biden's laptop was indicative of Russian disinformation. It just shows the incestuous nature of all of the scumbags in Washington and the media and how they all collude together. So, and again, here's an example. Biden lying. He says Donald Trump encouraged the insurrectionists on January 6th. He didn't do a damn thing to hold them accountable. And here he tweeted, I'm asking for everyone in the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. So, he, and there's video now, too, of Nancy Pelosi, leaked video, admitting that she took responsibility for not doing the right thing for January 6th, but they were blaming it on Trump. So, literally everything the Democrats say is a lie. But then they do the Bolshevik thing where they turn around and point fingers and say that the good people are the ones that are doing the lying. And that's what communists do. That's what liars do. In order to try and set up a communist regime that they know doesn't work, never has worked in history, they have to lie, cheat, and steal in order to do it. And that's what they're doing here. But the problem is we just have too many stupid-ass people that are voting, and they're trying to bring in more through the southern border to keep them in power so they can kill all of us, and that's what they're going to do. So that's it for tonight. I will go into the maggot milk tomorrow, because I'm going to do I'll probably just do a shorter live session. This one I didn't really expect to go an hour. I was just going to do a half an hour. But of course I got on rambling. But thanks to those of you that are watching and came out to watch. And be sure to subscribe. Preferably on either follow me on X if you are on X, or on Rumble. Because once again, like I said, they are cheating and lying on YouTube through Alphabet. They are blocking everything I'm doing with as many followers that I do have, and it's disgusting, but that's what they're doing. But anyway, appreciate you watching, and see you tomorrow night.